that we're looking at to make up the total teeter payment is $800,000 towards the interest. So what we're showing actually is a total of, if you include revenue, and I agree with Supervisor Smith of her comment about the $200,000 in general fund, but I just want to remind the board that the total actual payment, including revenue and general fund additional general fund contribution this year for 2008-09 is $4 million. Okay, way more than it's been, and this is as much as we can do right now. I also think that, just as a comment, that if we have any additional revenue, whether it be some interest calculations, as Supervisor Delbar talked about during the year, that maybe the board could give us direction to have that go immediately into contingency. It's an option.
And that goes back to my comment. I believe it's $4,030,000 is the total contribution to Teeter this year, and that's the comment that I was referring to earlier. So, Supervisor Delmar.
Just real quick, Mr. Chairman, keep in mind that the delinquencies went up 40%. Even though we're putting more money than we ever put, between the 60% last year and the 40% this year, it's a big chunk of change that's increased our liability, though.
But we may see...
Just got to keep that in perspective.
Okay.
We're not going to see those revenues for a couple years out.
Right.
But when you're going on
Supervisor.
when you're going on an amortization schedule that's beyond 5 years, it all balances out because a piece of property doesn't go 5 years without getting the taxes paid. So that will, I mean, if you had an amortization schedule of 3 years, it would affect. But if your amortization schedule is over the 5 years, it's not going to affect because the revenues are going to come in that payment time.
Okay, other board member comments? Direction to staff? What, oh, I'm sorry. The auditor would like to speak.
I'd like to clarify a little bit about the interest on the teeter. The way the teeter plan works is that on December 10th or close to December 10th, we pay out to the taxing entities, which consists of cities, special districts, schools, and the county. We pay out 55% of what the secured levy is. What that came to this year in December was $57 million, okay? What that does is it puts us in the hole in the teeter fund of $57 million, so that the interest is calculated on that $57 million until the money starts coming back in. So what that does is the first quarter interest, which is July through September, which would be based on what was in the teeter receivable at the end of last year, the interest apportionment was $160,000. In the second quarter, because we had to pay out that $57 million, it's $400,000 in interest. In the third quarter, after the money starts coming back in from taxes, it goes down to $221,000, and then as more money comes in, it reduced that for the third quarter. And then the final quarter then is based on what is still unpaid. So the final quarter was $246,000. So it's just a matter of incurring debt at the outset and then having it reduced as the payment comes in.
Supervisor.
You say you pay out the money on December 10th.
55% of it.
Okay.
We pay out another piece on April 10th.
That's the day that the second installment is due.
First installment.
That's the first installment. Mm-hmm. Okay, then that's another point. Then you're before the interest bearing or interest paying year starts.
This is the current secured roll, yes. Yeah, that's the way teeter works. Is you pay out what the levy is. You guarantee that the taxing entities are going to get their full levy.
But if somebody pays their taxes on the 11th, only a day late, they still pay. They got to pay a 10% penalty. So that should cover the interest.
The deal is, though, that the tax collector can accept payments that are postmarked on December 10th, and they don't finish processing until about the end of December for the money that comes in on the first installment. Of course, the flip side of this, too, is that in April we pay out 38% of the levy so that compounds the issue.
Is that a state law or policy that you have to pay them on December 10th?
No. I don't believe so. It's a
so if we delayed their
done.
payment, like the state delays our payment 6 months a year, if we just delayed our payment a month, 30 days, that would be a tremendous probably interest savings.
Well, you'd have every city, every cemetery district, and every fire district in here saying, I need a loan.
Well, that's what I'm
Because they
saying.
can't
We're-
operate.
Well, there it gets back to the issue, we're in a service delivery system, and that's a large part of our service delivery system by helping our special districts and everything out. And I don't see anything wrong with that.
Oh, Lordy. Supervisor Smith.
Thank you. I have a question for the auditor. So how is the interest rate calculated?
The rate is whatever the Treasury earns. In other words, the treasurer accumulates interest over a quarter, and we apportion it based on the dollar amount that's there. We calculate then what they have earned based on the cash that was available to make the interest on. So it varies. It's not a set amount. It's
Right.
around 5% for the most of the year.
But
Supervisor.
when you pay your taxes, it's for the year in arrears, right?
No. No, you pay
When
your
you pay your
tax.
taxes on December 10th, it's for the
It's for
year
the
that...
fiscal year July 1 through June 30th. So you're basically paying the
For the
December.
year that...
Yeah,
You're paying at the end of the year. So,
It's actually in the middle. It's July 1 through June 30th is the
Okay.
fiscal year for taxes, okay? December 10th, you make the first payment.